The topic what we have today is, where are the engineering jobs? How do we grab? It's quite relevant at a time, when you see one side, you would have heard two things. One is more than a lakh plus freshers getting hired in the last 6 months. Still, there is a lot of demand for fresh engineers. On other side, lifetime opportunity for techies. The attrition rate in our IT industry is one of the highest so far. Salary hikes, again, so far one of the highest. But still, on a lighter note, we have a problem that many other youngsters, they're not so lucky. So what has happened? What is the reason? What could be done? That is the whole, especially for people who are involved in improving music. They need guidance. Better input, we feel, they can fix this issue in a better way. 2-3 points I want to bring into notice. With Industry 4.0 and COVID, in a digital world, there is a phenomena called 360-degree digitization. We all talk about digitization. I'm talking about 360-degree digitization. When I say 360-degree digitization, what I mean is from a product design, development, testing, certification, field deployment, customer experience, everything is getting digitized. So what does it mean? More demand is there for people who understand digital skills, tools, every level. You would surprise, actually, nowadays you can do crash tests for your car using simulation tools. That's where we are going. Now that means there is a shift towards digitization. Even in the mechanical civil engineers, if they are digitized, I use the word, if they are digitized, there are more opportunities coming up. This is one side. The other side is you also see a whole lot of automation picking up again thanks to COVID and the virtual world bringing in, which led to huge demand for embedded chipsets. Everybody is now crying for chips, and this is going to continue for the next 2-3 years, giving a whole lot of new avenues for job opportunities for people. But only thing is we need to know where all these growths are happening. And finally, one important aspect, so-called employability. Various reports are there in the market which talks about how many percentage of the total engineers getting produced in our country are they employable. We don't have to blame academia or for the students. Actually, the blame goes to the industry. Because when there was a huge demand for IT in an IT industry, without looking at quality, without looking at all these aspects, people started producing engineers. Now today we blame academia for that. I am totally against. It is a problem with the industry. We created the problem. I think it is industry's responsibility to fix it. By working with the academia, the purpose of this discussion is one of the things that, what is that industry can do to help people who are really sweating it out to mentor these young engineers. So we will also see there the factors like employability and related upskilling, what can be done, or even new way of teaching students. That's also coming, right? You have the hybrid mode of teaching with the virtualization tools and virtual labs. A whole lot of things are happening in our surroundings today. So with this, let me conclude my opening remarks. I'm going to invite our first speaker of the day, Mr. Japu. Japu, your remarks, please.
Okay. So I think this topic is, I just love this topic of skilling and, interacting with students, bringing them up. That is why I'm part of this panel also. I would like to speak about this. When we talk about, where the engineers, where are the jobs for the engineers, if you see, Honeywell, I'm working for Honeywell. So Honeywell Technology Solution based out of Bangalore. We are into aerospace. We are into, building solutions, the automations like your AC and, you see the hotels, you have these ACs, which are Honeywell products. And we are into the chemical industry. But primarily, I come from an aerospace background, and there is a huge aerospace presence here in Bangalore. So what do we do? we are into controls, we are into lot of software, but primarily we are into building systems. So all of us are building systems, and even if there was a pandemic and all that, we have gone to the universities, we have picked up a lot of students as interns, and once they do their internship, we have absorbed them into the company. And I'm a adjunct faculty at NIT Surathkal as well as Manipal. So some of my students have been taken into Honeywell, right? So they went through the interview process. So our people went for the campus interviews, and we selected some of the students, and they are now part of the organization. So jobs are there, but what we find is that there are gaps. So when I look at a fresh engineer, right, we will take fresh engineers because we always train them inside the organization. But there are certain skills that take some years to form, and quickly, if you want to ramp up a team, we require to hire some maybe with 2 3 years of experience. And that is where we have a lot of problems when we see people with 2 3 years of experience. They don't have the skill set. We would have interviewed so many people, maybe one or two get selected, and people they get trained outside. So there are agencies that are training them, and then they send us the resumes, and then when we take when we go through the interview process there also we see that there is a gap. They would have gone through the training, but it is a bookish knowledge. They don't have an actual experience of getting their hands dirty, and they actually lack what a 2 year person from our own industry who has worked with us has. Okay, so there are definitely gaps here in the skill set, in the way they look at the engineering problem. And that gap, I think, like Shinto said, that yes, uh, what can the industry do there? Because we have the industries which just take software people. I want 1,000 people, right? So that is just catering to the I would say the software industry per se, right? They are debugging, they are writing code, and all that thing that is they are doing onto the only to the software side. But a company like Honeywell, we are into the embedded domain, and we like to take people with the software background, electrical background, electronics background, and this is the way we are going forward. And what are the new technologies we are exploring? If you see, Honeywell is into quantum computers today. We are into the UAV market today. So we require people with backgrounds which can suit us with this. So we would require some students or some with maybe 2 3 years of experience who have worked on UAVs. They understand UAV as a system, perhaps. Okay, and a lot of thing comes in. We are into the safety market, so we come in with a systems for a safety critical system. So we want people who are at least exposed to some of these standards, and that is something we don't see. So last year I took a standards course at NIT. Students didn't like it, so I did a 1 week. I just explained the standards to them, but then when I told them, okay, see, this was an accident that happened, and why it was done, because some of the standards were not followed, it sunk in. They understood that. And once I gave them certain problems to work on and try to bring in the standard against it, they realized how important it is. Okay, hopefully they will get into a job in the industry where these standards are. So I think that is what would be the core of what I would be speaking on today.
But one aspect, I know you are a person I've been seeing for the last 10, 15 years with a lot of interaction with academia, but specifically from Honeywell, I see a lot of activities Honeywell is doing, direct engagement with academia. Can you share some of your initiatives?
Right. So one initiative is this, adjunct faculty initiative. So we have a lot of people from Honeywell, who are participating as adjunct faculty. So we are having adjunct faculties in IITs, in the NITs, and I am in Manipal. Like that, we do interact with the directly with the academia. we go and do workshops. Okay, so we may take a specific topic and we do a workshop. Maybe about 2 years back, we came up with a systems engineering curriculum for the engineering students. So we said that half of it would be taught at the engineering college itself, where our people will go and teach, and they will teach the like train the trainers. And then once they come to the come to our industry, we can teach them something that we can't talk about, right? So once they are on board, we can teach them on some of our products, and they continue that systems engineering journey. Okay, so we do have such thing. We do have
Good.
hackathons and all those things.
So in other way that one common thing what you told is systems engineering.
I keep
I think
repeating that. Yes.
that's the core of your discussion. In fact, let me invite Ashish. Ashish comes with a very unique background. He will talk more about that. Ashish, please.
Thank you, Shinto. It's been a pleasure to talk to you all, and thanks for your time today. I run an incubator, which is in Noida. Also, we have 4 other incubators. That means makes it 5: 2 in Bangalore, 2 in Mysore, and 1 in Noida. So this what these incubators do. They are part of the educational institutions. 4 of them out of 5. And we interact not only with these institutions inside which we are there, but we also interact with many other institutions, because what we are doing is nurturing innovation among students, so that they are ready for the future. Some may also are excited to run through their own entrepreneurial venture, and generally these ventures are technology oriented. So technology startups is what the buzzword everybody's been hearing. We nurture some of them. So when Shinto brought this topic of where are the jobs, I intuitively thought, where are the people? So jobs are available in plenty. To me, there's no dearth of jobs. The only thing is jobs, nature of jobs is changing. And that is what also is the expectation, that a course curriculum also would change. And I think with NEP to 2020, this is likely to change in the future, when people will choose the elective which they believe in, and they would have the flexibility to choose those electives what within the framework of the subject or the stream they have chosen. Even entrepreneurship can be one stream. Innovation can be another stream. Or drone technology based some research can be another stream. We support all of these technologies. Another thought is, many people do research and they come up with research publications and patents and many other research artifacts. These are patented or non-patented, but they never see the day of light for commercialization. What we generally nurture and say, that you don't just do theoretical research, do research while being in a startup. So this becomes a practical research. It has an application within the organization, within the startup world, within the work which you people are touching, feeling, and doing every day, and results are coming immediately. So it is not delinked from the practical aspects in commercialization. You do it parallelly. And there are many faculties we've been able to attract because of such approach, because faculty student coordination with an incubator makes it the best combination, because faculty has all the know-how on the technology, student has the right idea and the energy to execute it, and the commercialization aspect is nurtured by the incubator. When these three are combined, all the commercial and interest of all entities involved is taken care. There's a model which also has been part of the NEP 2020. In case you read it thoroughly, there's a model which has been put forward to the universities, that you can adopt this model, and these are the commercial terms which can be agreed. Even in the institution which is offering the faculty and the student time also has a stake in there. So all these entities are well balanced in that particular policy. So I think it is a great um, uh, place to be there, and those students, those uh, uh, faculties who are changing for the future, they're getting ready for the future. I think there's no looking back for the students. They don't have to fend for the question where are the jobs. Jobs are available in plenty. Just to give you a few examples, I think in the embedded space, there are few communication technologies which are going to play a major role. 5G connectivity is just near. Indoor communication using Li-Fi. Li-Fi is low latency communication using Wi-Fi. Is very much prevalent in warehouses. The e-commerce warehouses are already using such technology. Radio communication indoors is prevalent. Citywide smart cities are using LoRaWAN as a communication backbone. Low orbiting Starlink satellites have started been orbiting, and they are providing connectivity solutions. All this is happening because there are new solutions which are emerging. Connected cars, wearable devices, track and trace capabilities in the device. In fact, machine have started communicating to machines. So we've been saying humans are triggering that communication to talk to other human. I think that is the phase one, which is going to continue, but we would also see machine to machine communication. So if there is an embedded chip within a refrigerator will send a signal to a service station which is already empaneled with to service that refrigerator, and refrigerator will say I'm down. Even the inhabitants of that house may not know, and the service engineer may come knocking the door that this refrigerator is not working, I have come to service it, or maybe remotely service it. So those are the days we are facing
Yep.
today.
Yep. So actually, in a nutshell, what you're saying is jobs are there, but then probably it is up to us how we look at it. And the interesting part is today, when we look at industry also, most of the disruptions are coming from startups. People don't understand. The large companies, you get stuck. Whereas if you really want thrill of working on innovations, startup is the place to go. And that is a positive trend which is happening in our society, because entrepreneurs, I think they produce jobs. Not only that, they also need employees. So there are two aspects. One is, producing entrepreneurs. Second one is, giving employees for startups. Now, coming back to, I know your organization is part of a trust, JSS Mysore. In fact, I was involved in some of the activities with you guys earlier. So specifically, this incubation initiative, can you explain a little more, how that is producing jobs in your incubation?
Yeah. So the model is those students who are interested. These students may not be of the college where we are sitting as an incubator. These could be students. These could be uh, uh, professionals with interest, with some years of industry experience. They come with an idea, and we help them in commercializing that idea. It could be commercialization means go to market. That means making the things work for them, refining the ideas and taking them to the market, opening doors with the corporate, or arranging funds for them. So three basic things which generally a founder need is, first of all, they need to validate the idea which they have, and this is what we help them with. So we say fail fast or succeed fast. So in case your idea is supposed to be failing, let it fail fast so that you don't spend too much time or money in onto it. And that is the validation phase. And second part is, in case the idea has passed this validation phase, how do they go about launching it so that we give the wherewithal of launching it. There are many lessons we have understood from the previous founders. This is what we tell our new founders, so that they that helps them in avoiding certain costly mistakes. And third part is arranging funds either through us, because we also have funds which government has entrusted onto us. Government does not disburse funds to the startups directly. That the channel is through incubators. We also have funds from the government to be disbursed to the startups. We also have connections with angel investors and venture capitalists internationally and nationally, so that we connect to them, because investors also are looking for such startups where they can get funds.
Good. So in summary, it's very simple. Instead of becoming job seekers, why don't you become job creators? That is the need of the hour for the country. So with this, I'll move towards Pramod. He comes with another totally different area, the hot area today, the automotive sector. Pramod, your views, please. I think you need to unmute.
Sorry. Thanks, Into, and happy to be here. Great initiative. So, again, looking at any employability phase, right? If I have to, I think majority of the problem is with the less than 4 years of experience. Beyond that, if somebody is not employable, that means they have not upskilled themselves or they are not up to date with the industry. They have become obsolete. But in terms of before less than 4 years itself, if I have to differentiate there again, either fresh graduates or like 1 to 4 years of experience, right? Fresh graduates, either campus placement happens, so that's not an issue. I think most of the non-campus placement people, they struggle one mainly in soft skills. So that's where I urge all the institutes or academics to focus on the personality development of the students also, whether it's basics like communication, presentation, the body language, the confidence, and then the direct interaction, people talking, like public speaking. These kind of things should be encouraged so that when they present themselves in an interview, that first impression comes like, I want to hire this guy. He's the guy who can go in places or can do things for me, right? So that is, I think, first thing that I look for. Then the next thing that I look for is what is that differentiated from rest of the crowd, right? It could be as simple as the projects he has done, the core skills that has built in. Normally, like up to six semester, everybody would be there, would be same. That's where I think engineering institutes, when they come and play a role, I would look at those who have not placed so far in a placement, like at sixth semester, and seventh and eighth, they can more invest towards those individuals who are not placed so far in any of the jobs, and they can work towards that. 1 year is crucial in upskilling them in taking any particular area. For example, Ashish said it is like communication technology, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, 5G. They can do stack related trainings, live projects, and combine with industry, use that 1 year to train them. Or take, for example, pure embedded programming like device driver programming in Android, Linux, these kind of areas. Or even in electrical vehicles, for example, battery management system, power electronics, power management. So application oriented, domain specific, including programming language, right? Majority of the times when they are just out of college, the programming level skill set may not be the level that industry expect them to be. So, and majority of the industries then spend like 3 to 6 months in training them, what we call as induction training. That itself can be done here. And next year, when the interview happens along with some people, they can present these guys as if they are already 1 year experienced industry, I can say engineers in a specific domain or with a specific skill set. Then that attracts the industry hiring people. Okay, I already have a 1 year experienced engineer, right? That's how they have to look at that person rather than fresh graduate. Then that employability then goes high. And within 1 to 4 years, if I have to look at, right, the people, I think what I've seen, at least with the young graduates, is they run after money. So I would rather run after the skill set or upgrading yourself and in a way strengthening your skill set, right, rather than moving from one company to other company. Majority of my rejection I see in 6 years, they would have changed 4 companies. That means they have not learned anything, spent even 2 years or 3 years in one single company. That means they have not gone to the depth of the work that they are doing. So at least, and they don't know what struggling means, right? In a particular project, they have not faced the toughest of the challenges. By the time they start facing it, they've already moved to a next project or next company. So that's what I look for: stability in their profile, and whether they have gone through one complete product life cycle or project life cycle, right? So that experience is equally key, because then they have gone through all the ups and downs of a complete product life cycle. Because unlike any other project, embedded is more like 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. It runs in years, not like days or months. Okay, so I would look at that, and then the overall product or domain expertise as well, right? It could be, has he gone in a depth? If he says himself as a Bluetooth developer, or has he gone into depth AutoZor developer, right? So that's how he should next start focusing on going into the depth rather than horizontal. Once the depth comes in a particular skill set, then he can start spreading across his wings horizontally. I think this is what I can look at as a key thing that one can look at themselves and in terms of key technologies. If I have to say what I look now is these days, connectivity is one area. OS, if you take Android, Linux, or the AutoZar related technologies, there are a lot of mirroring or projection, Android Auto, CarPlay, and then specific to AI ML, it's spread across. And there is a lot of demand coming from semiconductor. You yourself, Shinto, mentioned. There, I think there are a lot of institutes which you can combine Cadence, Synopsys.
Yep.
They do a lot of this tool related training. So I think that's how look at those where the demand is and start training your students in the last year towards those, so that when you present them, they are already 1 year experience in those domains.
Yeah.
That's how I
Thank
look
you,
at it.
Pramod.
Same thing holds for less than 4 years engineers.
Pramod, anything specific? I know Vision is very active with academia. So can you tell one or two activities which Vision as an organization involved in the academic sector?
Yeah, so we hire a lot of fresh graduates from colleges. We do tie up with them in making sure the early training happens, as I mentioned, in 7th and 8th semester itself, so that when they join us, they are already up in induction training and all that. Whatever normally other companies do for 3 to 6 months is already done in the college, so that we don't have to redo that and spend an additional 6 months, and they can start live on a project. And then the other thing is from a manufacturing standpoint as well, we hire a lot of technicians and engineers and train them in the manufacturing process and automation and these kind of skill sets also, so that there is, and as there could be webinars or hackathons, those are also conducted in the colleges to encourage students with the live in a way challenges that we are facing.
That is one beauty of
and
automotive
grow.
industry. It produces a lot of blue collar jobs. Probably unlike other industries, this is one industry which produces a lot of jobs for even a school dropout or people who have passed out 10th ITA. I think we need a lot more jobs in that category to employ our youth. So I really appreciate. I'll just move before I move to Amit. For the interest of the participants, you've seen the expertise of these people. You can shoot your questions directly to them. Otherwise, you can even put it in the chat box. We immediately after this, now we'll start taking those questions along with some of the questions you have given us during registration. We'll take up that also. Now I'll turn towards my colleague Amit. He comes with another totally different background. Amit, your views, please.
Yeah, thanks, Shinto. So thanks to all the panel members here. Just to give a perspective from our point of view, so LDRA as an organization, we started in 1975. So that's kind of an academic research offshoot by Dr. Michael Henner, who's the founder of LDRA. So he was from Liverpool University. So that's how this thing started, where he was a professor and then started LDRA as an organization. So we still are trying to have that connect of academic and research community, even now through our various programs. So while we started our office in India in the year 2010, so one of the challenges that we were trying to find out what's lacking in this industry, probably I'm talking more at that point of time from the industry perspective, So there is a saying like, if you don't find a way, create one. So we had to find our own ways to see how we could really establish ourselves here. And we have so many other vendors, there are a lot of activities. But what we focused was primarily the gaps. We were trying to see at that point of time, the aerospace and defense was quite active. Yes, there was a lot of company who had enough expertise. They had right set of expertise in handling the situation. But yes, there were a different set of companies who were trying to learn to understand what we should do. Some were really thinking whether we should do it today or for our next project or maybe next year. There were so many conditions of this. So we took that as one of our understanding that there is a gap which could be filled by us by giving proper awareness. So we started doing a lot of awareness programs. It could be in the form of webinars, seminars, public workshops, so on and so forth, where we engaged all our industry players and gave them awareness on the importance of following process standards, be it in understanding how it is, be it in terms of even a basic thing of programming standards. Why programming standards are important, to what extent it could really benefit you, and what's the outcome which could really make your jobs easy, make you to develop a safe and secure product. So we continued this. In fact, I remember when we started our office, those days, we had like a marathon of event. We start from on a Monday in Bangalore, then we travel to Chennai, then to Hyderabad, to Delhi, to Pune, Monday to Friday, and then back to Bangalore, a marathon of events. It was all focused on creating awareness. So the awareness programs did help. And today I'm proud to say that LDRA is associated with almost all the major mission critical or safety critical projects, including it could be government establishments, it could be big private players, Indian players, some of the SME, MSMEs, and so on. So around 2014-15, we really started doing work on semiconductors. We focused on medical, on automotive, because that's where then these things were taking off, right? So standards were there, but some were not really carrying off. We hear a lot about IoT. We hear a lot about ISO 26262, IEC 62304 in the recent times. So we then started putting our time and energy onto it. So we started educating, awareness programs and all those things. So while we were doing this exercise, it was some of our customers. I remember Japu mentioning that you hire the students and then you train them. So some of our customers in the similar lines were having this concerns when we met them. They say that we are hiring and then we have to put them onto a 6 months training program and then decide whether to put him as software developer or tester or what he should be really with. So they had their challenges, and some of them even asked that you guys do a lot of activities over here. Why can't you just do something on the academic side? So that really triggered us in terms of moving on to a different perspective, start our work on the academic side. So we did some survey with the industry experts. We did find what is their expectations and what is it that is missing with the academia side. And we started then meeting the academic institutes. We did analyze that there are gaps. Probably in simple terms, if I have to say, it is today probably most of the engineers know how to write a code, but then how to write a code with best practices, following safety standards or security standards, knowing what MISRA, that's more important. So we were trying to churn out that importance onto the academic side. We started doing those engagements. So we didn't have to reinvent the wheel. We had the same pattern. We started doing public courses, webinars, seminars all around the academic perspective. So I think that really started. And today also, if you look at this program, which is under the banner of LDRA Academic Alliance, this is again one of the event which we are focusing in terms of bringing out the importance of process standards, programming standards, which can tomorrow produce a better skilled engineer and a better job, a better future for all of us.
Thank you. I mean, one thing I liked with my colleagues is actually, even though this doesn't bring us any revenue, somehow they believe in what I told them, that, we are here, we should do something back to our community, which eventually, long term, it will pay off, no doubt on that. Can you
Right.
specifically mention, for example, there were some questions from, I'll tell you, professor from Sardar Patel Institute. He had sent a question in advance, Surendra Rathod, professor. What that you do with the colleges? He wants to know. So maybe it will be answered for many people.
Okay, so what we have is I would say LDRA Academic Alliance is one of the programs that we have initiated, particularly for the academic side. So just an introduction that LDRA, we provide software testing tools, so primarily to comply with the software verification and validation objectives. So for the academic side, what we have done is, first thing is to look at engage with the universities and find out what they really teach. And syllabus is the key thing which can drive a different change altogether. Whether the current syllabus covers the aspects of software engineering, software verification, validation. Okay, what level of theoretical aspects do you put? But then equally important is how much practically are you exposing the students onto it. So we provide a setup where we can provide our licenses to them, which can effectively teach them. Again, we go with a methodology of train the trainers. So we train the professors and we give them enough hands-on technical content so that they can then understand the LDRA tool-related things and the benefits which it can produce and teach it to the young engineers. So that's particularly from the academic perspective. I would also like to add an important point over here is that, okay, everybody talks about connecting, giving this jobs, but one of the important things that LDR has taken care is to connect industry and academia. For example, we do have our own flagship event, which is Embedded Safety and Security Summit. What we do is we give free slots to our academic customers. We give them booths. We encourage them to come, showcase their talents, their syllabus, what they cover, the kind of right education, what they're providing to their engineers, and also to network with companies. So that's an important thing, because you would see a crowd coming from automotive or aerospace or medical, whatnot. So getting there and talking to customers and delegates might really help you in terms of getting internship, in terms of getting projects, prototypes, and tomorrow placements. So this is primarily on the academic perspective.
I think so. Coming down to one interesting observation. In fact, to be frank, I will tell openly, there is a business sense also for this. If a customer is getting trained employees, his project will move faster. And if his project is move faster, naturally he will probably become a bigger customer for us. So it is it's two way that LDRA also benefits out of this whole exercise. Now, before we go further, we will run a poll with the audience so that we get some more involvement from them. Guys, can you run the first poll question? Is systems engineering a mandatory subject in your institution? In fact, Japu is a big fan of systems engineering. And to be frank, in all these industries, but we're talking systems engineering is a very important subject because there's a shift that is happening in the industry. Please participate. We got 1 minute. The shift is very simple. Earlier, quality model-based systems. Today, we have a risk-based approach. And if you really wanted to develop products based on risk-based, we need this systems engineering. That's where the starting point. So we got a couple of seconds more. Please utilize this opportunity. Is it mandatory subject in your institution or not? You will come to know, how many, what is the percentage?
There is a question on the chat.
Yeah, we will take up that. And yes, we are done. I will wait for the result. Can you guys tell us what is the percentage of where it is mandatory? Just to get an idea of what is the level of familiarity of this subject in academic circle. I know it is getting processed. Yes, it is taught only in 36%. Yeah, it's a very interesting observation. That means 56% is of the institutions, at least from the attendees' perspective. This is more or less a replica of, probably even worse, very few institutions are teaching systems engineering. With this, we will move to some questions which are already with us. For the first question is from Vivek. He's from VIT Pune. How can an electronics and engineering student step into field of avionics and control systems? Chipu, it might be for you, right?
Yeah. So I am basically an electronics engineer. B is electronics and ME mechanical, but I am at heart a controls engineer. And I got into controls because I had 1 semester course of controls, and I had a fantastic lecturer who was teaching in the Gulf English, but he's a controls guy. He had a job there, and he came back. He was so enthusiastic to do something in engineering. He taught us controls in a beautiful manner, and that changed my life, I would say. But if you look at the students today, they don't know the color of their book, the control engineering textbook, when they come to the 8th semester or come for a job. So I ask them basic controls questions, and they say that they don't. I studied it in the 4th semester, and I have forgotten about it. Okay, so controls is taught. It's not that it is not taught. Avionics may not be taught, but definitely some bit of embedded is taught. So now it's a question of applying these basic principles of controls, basic principles of electronics, basic principles of programming in an environment which is called avionics. So it is very simple to transition from an electronics, electrical engineer, or even a computer engineer into avionics. It is not a rocket science. It's pure applications of the basic principles which any engineering institute teaches as part of the curriculum, and that is more than sufficient.
Good, thank you. There's a question from Dr. Kannan. Would you be getting a participation certificate? Yes, for the professors, definitely. We will issue a participation certificate. Nothing to worry. There's a question from Sai Krishna. He's an assistant manager at RNTBC. The question is, in India, people don't get time to work on a single topic project, especially in automotive. How they can work on long-term project? I think Pramod is the right person. Being a product company, he can answer this question, because in India, the problem is people keep jumping and they don't never see a full life cycle, especially in service companies. They don't see it. Pramod, please.
Yeah, that's I think is key. That's what I highlighted is when I look at least experienced people, right? If I have to 5 to 8 years experience, then I know I'm hiring a costly guy, if I have to say like that, right? And the worth would come from him when he has to lead the next set of people. Has he gone through the complete life cycle, right? The V that we normally talk about, right? From requirement, design, coding, then testing, and then the deployment, right? And each phase has its own challenges. And unless he has gone through this complete cycle, that 360-degree experience would never come, and then he would not be in a position to lead or guide others who are juniors through this in a way tough phases of a project life cycle. I think that is key, and that's why I said they have to live through the challenges of staying in a company at least for 3 to 4 years, so that they live through that product life cycle, gain that experience, and that's what differentiates them as they move up the value chain. And in fact, the more number of every product in a way is unique also, right? So that way, the more number of product life cycle they have gone through, that much more I can say stronger their expertise would be related to that particular domain or field of work.
So the question is actually whether you are career focused or you are money focused in the early stage, and that decides your future. So,
and if you are already experienced, people will come to you. You don't have to go
that's
after.
exactly. So where people make mistake is that they don't invest on this particular aspect. Later on, after running around the industry 4, 5, 6 companies, back to square one. Probably the next one is first company. I've seen people doing that. So they lose a lot on a long term basis. So we will take a question from the the chat itself. From Chopha Dekha. She's asking, syllabus in campus and in the industry do not match. Okay. Tools used are not updated, but AICT regulation define the syllabus guidelines. Can you suggest a method which will bridge the gap? My answer to this is please involve more industry people into the curriculum committees, right from academic, because I sit on the board of one or two universities, and industry guys, when they come on the board, you can see the difference. Of course, we need to be realistic, because the challenge today, most of the colleges which is facing today is all senior guys are behind documentation, certification, approvals, organization. They don't get time to do any of these things, other things which actually they are supposed to do. So probably the management, top management should understand that there should be a vision from the top management. And the answer is very simple: involve your alumni first. Your alumni can help you involve more industry people. I'll go back to again one of the questions which came to us from Associate Professor Ajay from Yashwantrao Chavan College of Engineering. He has got a question: can we make engineering students compulsory to do 5 to 6 months internship? Ashish, would you mind taking up this question, because I've seen that you guys do a lot of internship as part of incubation facility. Especially in the NEP, this has got a big role to play.
Yeah, so we do arrange many internships among our startups. In fact, the best exposure in an internship environment happens to be in a small company, because when you look around, there's a lot to do, and you are exposed to everything, unless you are part of a big company where you are involved in only one small process and you don't see end-to-end picture. You start appreciating more end-to-end picture and then connect back those why these small pieces are being done, because you understand the nuances of how the whole engineering product is made. It could be a computer engineering product, or it could be a mechanical engineering product, or an amalgamation of an embedded system. Whichever product, in case you see it very closely on a holistic way, I think it makes sense. And such internships are more available and readily welcomed by startups, because they always welcome interns from the engineering college with promising students. We have already arranged nearly about 60-70 a particular center each. All these 5 centers, probably 300 such internships we arrange amongst our startups itself. And important thing is quality of learning. Don't just bank upon the certificate, because that certificate in any way can come from your references and friends in the family, connections in the industry. In case somebody is interested in learning, I think internships are available in the startup world.
Good. Thank you, Ashish. There's a question in the chat. Courses on functional safety and standards, will it be helpful for students in employability? I will turn this question towards Amit, because he works with almost all customers who's talking functional safety compliance. Amit, can you give your perspective? Today, functional safety, how important it is in this market?
Definitely an important one, and considering the current era, this courses would definitely benefit. And from our experience, I would say that confidently, the reason is we've been training probably even corporate customers. We have seen a lot of engineers and employees coming and getting trainings from us on functional safety, various other topics, be it secure coding, be it process standards. And for sure, we have seen that's benefiting them, because that's an added advantage where what you have to really do when it comes to a particular standard or a domain that you're heading to. So I would recommend to whomsoever that has been asked, it's yes, and it is highly
from Raghavendra.
Yes, so Raghavendra, my feedback to you would be it is definitely a recommended thing, and LDRA also has something called LDRA Competency Center, wherein that's again a prime thing where we train industry experts or academic professors on a lot of these topics. So if there is anything more to know, I'm sure we'll be able to assist you further.
Thank you. And to add to that, actually, when we started in India, our customers used to be aerospace and defense. Now, if you look at it, is automotive. And the real factor which is driving the demand in automotive sector is the functional safety compliance. And of late, the security, because European regulation has kicked in. Because there's something called WP29, which makes it mandatory for any system, any vehicle entering on the road on 2024 July onwards should be, security compliant. So that is going to heat up the demand for security, automotive security itself. In fact, there's one more comment from Surendra Rathod. Again, I think he's the one who asked the question earlier. Yes, we can give inputs on systems engineering. We can definitely help you. There are a lot of standards available, ready-made ARP framework, SAE documents. A lot of things are available. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Everything, most of the work is done by SAE in this area. So you can depend on SAE, resources itself. We'll go back to our existing questions, which has come from some of our. Yep. Is there any forum in future so that the embedded systems can design to operate anti-drone program? So I assume the question might be: is there any forum where they can discuss anti-drone programs? Probably Jabu would be the right person because me and him worked in the national standards body for drone standardization.
For the drone standardization. So we do have seminars that have been coming out. The BS Indian Standard is doing a lot of work on the drone standards. Recently, SAE had organized a drone conference.
But this is specific to anti-drones. Okay.
Yeah. So in that, one of the, at least people ask these questions, and there is a company that makes these anti-drone, equipment, and so that they make it for this DRDO and all that, so that they can protect their, establishments from the drone attacks. What is being talked about today. So there are such equipments already available, and they are also part of this. So there are two things to it. So we are looking at anti-jamming on the drone side, and then you have jamming equipments on ground for protecting yourself. So because it is a dangerous thing for my drone, I'm a good person, and it's a proper navigation that is happening, but somebody jams it and spoils it and drops it. That is also possible. So there are definitely forums where this is discussed, SAE, and there are conferences that have been arranged. I think BIS did a webinar on these, on the UAVs, but anti-drone comes into this same UAV conference.
Yeah, I would also recommend, you can also contact the Drone Federation of India, which is the association of all the drone manufacturing companies.
Right.
They also do a lot of educational activities.
And if you are on LinkedIn, I would encourage you to join. If you are not, join LinkedIn. There are a lot of forums there, and you can get more information there.
Yep, thank you. We will run the next poll. Divya, can you set it up? Yes. Do you have embedded systems, hardware and software, as part of your curriculum? Yeah, because as you know that, when you say embedded is all about, how tightly hardware and software work together. And there are different arguments. I need better performance. I want purely a hardware implementation, but I need flexibility. So for that, I need software. So the interesting part is hardware is becoming more complex. Software is becoming more bulky. That is the current trend. So please participate in the poll so that we get a better picture. How many of your curriculum are teaching this? Because if you really want to get into the embedded field, this is a must. This is a basic starting point, of course, and the programming naturally is C coding, at least to start off with. We got a couple of more seconds to go. Please participate. And yes, we run with. We'll just wait for the results. And we should have the results in the next couple of seconds. So as I told you now, the current boom which is happening in the semicon will definitely throw up a lot more opportunities. But this is the basic skills. Yes, yep, very good. 72%. 72% is teaching embedded systems in the curriculum. I mean, that's a big jump from a systems engineering teaching 36%, exactly double of, you know, uh, I see a difference. I don't know the remaining percentage where it went. Ideally, it should be, but I think, maybe it's a internal WebEx calculation issue. So that 72% of the institutions teaching that, it's a big thing. We will also take up one more question before we go further. The next poll, can you guys run it? Yes. Does your current curriculum covers the standards and guidelines driven programming? So as we have seen that, if you really want to achieve safety, security, everything starts with the systems engineering and bring it down to safety analysis, security analysis. And when you go for implementation, the programming, whatever code you develop should be safe and secure. It should follow some, internationally acceptable guideline. Then only people will accept it. So do you learn this in your curriculum? Please participate. Either could be yes or no. In fact, we find excellent coders, but then if you look at their code, you will see loops, jumps, and probably he himself will not know what he has written because it is so unstructured way of writing a code, which is not acceptable in any of these markets, which right now we are operating, especially in the context of safety, security context. Yes, we got another one more second. We will just wait for the results. Let's see. Where are we? I know everybody is nowadays good in programming. I mean, a lot of people are learning C. Some are learning even going further, like Python or those kind of languages which are used in the AML space. Yes, this is where the difference. People are learning. Only 26% is learning the structured guideline standards and guideline driven programming. So if you look at, if you're looking for finding a job in today, and if you claim I'm a good programmer, and you go for an interview, definitely interviewer is going to ask you questions based on, what will happen in the code when you're running. So this is an area where, you got an idea what is, we will come back. We got two more questions to poll to go, but before that, we'll take up some more questions. In the meantime, if you wish to pass your questions in the chat room, okay, there's a question already. Can panel put some light or good scope of research in the area of safety and AutoSAR for faculty and students? Pramod, would you please take it up? Again, question is from Raghavendra.
Yeah, I think AutoSAR is a very upcoming or more important domain. And we do have a lot of, particularly when we are working with clusters or the safety critical systems, since it provides a standard, you can say the platform for us to build on, and which is kind of accepted by the industry. It's a very, in a way, mandatory skill more or less that we are, and also skill in demand, if I have to say like that. We ourselves are looking big number of AutoSAR engineers for hiring. So we would be happy to work with the institute or even individual to upskill them in this area. Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. Guys, can you run the next poll? The next poll is all about scripting. Do you have scripting as a part of your syllabus? Let's see, because with autonomous systems, AML, the digitized, for example, if you look at car itself, it's no more a mechanical car. It is a digital car, a software-defined car, I call it. So when you're living in that world, naturally, this is very important. So we just want to understand, how many of you already started getting ready, training your kids towards scripting.
Yeah, Shinto, other just point to add, normally embedded means programming, but there is also validation and testing. Scripting helps a lot in automation and those kind of testing, validation part of it. When we have to do a more, you can say, stress testing and leave it for 1 day, 2 day, and then do monkey testing. We keep calling like that, right? So you touch all the buttons and see what happens in a random fashion. So scripting helps from that angle. So yeah.
The interesting part is actually, in all those 50%. Okay, great. So at least 50% of the colleges are teaching, this part. And the interesting part is you mentioned about testing. There is a wrong perception in the market. Testing is a bad job. And the interesting scenario is the best opportunities as an engineer, because most of the people who are entering into job market, I'm afraid I don't want to call them as engineers, because most of the work what they're doing don't need any engineering degree. So testing a system which is a complex system, an automotive, an aerospace, a medical device, you need to be an engineer. You really need to be, a systems person who understands how what will happen, how the system is behaving. It cannot be done by a BCom or a BSc guy. That's where actually you will continue growing as an engineer, which people don't understand. That's a beauty. So many a time in academicians also they say, no, I want our people to become architects. Eventually, I've seen that that guy is doing mostly cut and paste documentation Excel sheet. That is not engineering profession. So testing a complex system needs solid expertise. It is not an easy job. That value what you are earning in your career will take you a long way, and you don't become redundant in this industry because you're building your technical expertise, right? We have another, I can say, 7 more minutes. Before that, let me take up any other questions. Probably the last poll, we will run it. Do you need any help from the industry? Yeah, the last poll. Can you guys just run it? Yeah, do you need any help from industry to relook at your syllabus? Because this is one point which we discussed, right? Industry people can make a big difference. I know that it's a challenge because there are many companies we have personally invited. Why don't you come and join a university? They don't say, but they say we are busy. But not all companies are like that. There are many companies encouraging their senior engineers to go work with universities to help them in terms of. Sometimes I've seen many people sending their syllabus to us. Hey, can you get it reviewed by one of you guys? Pass your comments, which is a good thing actually. Even though we are not there on board, also at least they have the trust. Hey, can you pass your comments? So there are two ways. One is you take straight away. You can take a lot of people to your board, and the other one is getting it reviewed by some trusted people. So please complete your thing. Yeah. This is the last poll. 80%. Really? Okay. That's a very positive outlook, which I can say. Majority, 80% of the people feel that industry can. So we will be happy actually. Working with the academia. Need not be from LDRA. Our customers. I think a lot of customers are nowadays willing to do that because the reason they also need talented, skilled, trained engineers. That's where the beauty. We got just 5 minutes. We will probably ask our panelists to quickly 1 minute. We will ask them to pass their final remarks. Please pass your questions. We are not stopping it here. After Srikanth's session at 6:45, we'll come back. Some of the panelists probably they are busy. They might leave, but then the remaining panelists and myself and Srikanth are there to take the remaining questions. So we'll request our panelists, all of them, to pass a 1 minute remark on their final remark. Starting with Japu.
Yeah, so this was pretty interesting. I like the polls, I like the questions that came up, and the very fact that you don't have a systems engineering in the curriculum shows that there is a gap here. And the encouraging part is that you would like us to come and shape your curriculum. 80% of you want to do that. I think this is something that we could definitely discuss. You could reach out to LDRA, you could reach out to me on LinkedIn, and we can definitely take this thing forward and see how mutually we could benefit the students, I would say. Okay, so end goal is to benefit the students, and I think we can mutually work together so that our students benefit.
Thanks, Jabu. Ashish?
I'm happy to offer any kind of innovative products and holding required from any of our centers. We can facilitate, just reach out to Shinto and he can probably connect us. Uh, I think the future is of the specialist, and anybody who is uh, clearly working on a particular problem and going deeper instead of wider is the one who's winner.
In fact, I like what you said that, instead of writing some theoretical papers, do something practical, something commercially viable. And that's where actually, the real shift will happen. We need more such work to happen. And Pramod?
Yeah, what is encouraging to see is 80% of the audience are willing to relook at their syllabus. That means they definitely see some gaps, and based on the discussion, they identify that it needs some refinement. We are here to work with you in whichever way possible, either via LDRA, via Shinto, or you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. Again, the focus is again not just software or even development. It could be engineering, it could be testing, it could be systems, it could be product, it could be domain. So you can bring all that into your curriculum so that at least when the students come out of your colleges, then they are already ready for the industry, and then we don't have to train them for another 1 year to make them ready. So I think that should be the focus.
Thank you, Amit.
Yeah, I think the participants really gave us a very good feedback on the current challenges. And I would only say this, that in the 21st century, if you look at every device today has got something or other embedded in it. So I'm sure if this is the century, then tomorrow it will be evolving further. I also say that the stats say that at least the embedded growth in the industry will be at least by 50% in 2030. And the thing is, what IT did as a revolution in 20th century might be that will be for embedded system in the 21st century. So there is a prime importance. There's a lot of jobs. Only thing is how you grab it. So the best for tomorrow to be prepared is to start from today. So I would say it's important, and thanks for all the suggestions that we got from the panel, Shinto.
Great. So in summary, is very simple that, there is opportunity. There's no doubt, there's no dearth of jobs. It is up to us how do we grab it. And there's a concept called, full stack engineer, not a cut and paste engineer. Full stack engineer is in demand, and early stage, those who are investing on their career, they pay off. In fact, the same thing, when even freshers join earlier, also I keep telling them, invest on yourself. Later on, you don't have to look back. People will chase you because you have the capability. So same applies to everybody. Even if you are a senior, also there many people tend to believe that after 40s, 50s, I don't have to learn. That's what I learned from Mike, the founder of LERA. He's close to 80, and he's active. He's looking at where is the next boom happening, trying to learn. So that's the spirit. We learn, we continuously keep up learning, updating, and we should thank all our panelists. They brought us different perspective. Jabu, I told he came from an aerospace and defense background. Ashish is a mix of, actually, he opened a totally different world for academic community where the real action is right now happening. And there's a big push from government of India because we need jobs in this country. Only entrepreneurs can produce jobs. Whereas by majority are chasing jobs, they produce jobs as well as wealth. Coming back to Pramod, I really appreciate, he brought a totally different another perspective that, what an employer will look when they are hiring an employee. More than the technical skills, the first impression is the best impression. How do you create the best impression? And, back it with strong fundamental knowledge. And Amit, you shared your perspective that, the best part is he's been meeting customers from Delhi to Trivandrum, and even other countries of late he handles, and quite familiar with the challenges of skilling in India and rest of the regions.